Today we got up early and climbed the Matterhorn. Ha, just kidding. Actually, what we've done is spend most of the day thinking about flight. Probably since the first time the first human ever sat and observed an eagle soaring above that valley in Africa that we all come from, people have had a fascination with flight. And for hundreds, if not thousands of years, people struggled to achieve that thing that the birds achieve so easily. They tried mimicking their actions, they tried mimicking their shapes, but all with almost inevitably disastrous results. Eventually, of course, the problem was cracked by the Wright brothers at the beginning of the 20th century, although who knows whether they could even have imagined a thing like the Airbus A380 shown here coming into landing. And there's an interesting point to note here. As the aircraft actually touches down and begins to dramatically slow down, you can see the wings bend quite significantly. This is because at these speeds they've stopped generating lift, and so the whole system has gone from one where the aircraft fuselage is hanging off the wings to one where the wings are now hanging off the fuselage. We now know, of course, that there are four principal forces that are acting on the aircraft in flight. The thrust, which comes from its engines, the weight, which is gravity acting on its mass, dragging it back to Earth, the drag that's created by the air flowing over all of its surfaces, and finally, all important, lift. And the lift is generated as air flows past the wing, creating a difference in pressure between the upper and lower surfaces, as we can see shortly in a quick animation. So I'm going to attempt to use this wind tunnel app to demonstrate how an airfoil section can create lift. So the first thing I have to do is I have to draw myself an airfoil section. There we go, that's not too bad. So we can see from the streams of smoke in the wind tunnel that the air is separating to pass above and below the airfoil section. But what we really need to understand is what's happening to the wind speed and the air pressure as it flows over the surface. So to do that, I can select some different display features on this tool. So here I can select speed, and we can see from the blue colour indicates the steady speed of the airflow in the wind tunnel, and the red colour all above the airfoil section is showing us where the airflow is speeding up as it passes over the top of the wing. Now, Bernoulli's law tells us that for a given temperature, as speed increases, pressure must decrease, and that is exactly what we can see going on here. So in this view, the red now indicates area of high pressure and the blue areas of low pressure. If we have a pressure differential between the upper surface of the wing with low pressure and the lower surface of the wing with high pressure, that must result in an upwards force. In other words, the lift, and we can calculate the lift that's being produced right here. So this is telling us that our lift is a steady 5 something newtons, presumably. It's giving us a figure for drag of 1.1, and so a ratio of lift to drag of just over 4. If I increase the angle of attack, you can see that at this point the pressure differential between the upper and lower surface of the wing has increased even more, and now it's telling us that the lift is 9.5 newtons. The drag, of course, has gone up as well because we're presenting a bigger profile towards the oncoming air, and actually our lift to drag factor has fallen to about 3.4, suggesting that in order to maintain this kind of flight, the aircraft would have to be producing an awful lot more thrust. Incidentally, this is also how sails on sailing boats work, except that in this case, instead of imagining that you're looking along the wing in a horizontal plane, imagine that you're looking directly down on the sailing boat and that the airfoil section is the shape created by its sails. The designers of racing cars also use this effect, but in their case, they use it in the opposite direction by producing spoilers and fins that create a pressure differential in the other direction, actively pushing the car towards the ground as it goes around the racetrack. So let's just remind ourselves of our aircraft in flight. There we go. There it is, poised for takeoff. The air pressure under the wing building, reducing over the top. So now it's time to do a little bit of practical investigation. I found this nice resource on the Science Museum's Learning Resources site, all about the science of flight. I noticed at the bottom of the page that there's a few other funky little projects I might have a go at later. But today I'm going to concentrate on the downloadable resources for flight, which is this little booklet. So you can see it's got 3 ideas for paper aircraft that you can build. It's got some information about the science of flight. It's got instructions about what you need, questions that you can ask along the way, how to build the aircraft, and it even has a little template for the helicopter. So let's get on and make these things. Okay, that's them made. Time to do a bit of testing. I'm not really looking forward to this. So, what did we learn? Well, the dart flew very straight when thrown hard, which wasn't really surprising because at low speeds it isn't able to generate enough lift with those stubby wings. The little blue glider worked, by contrast, worked extremely well, even at very slow speeds was able to maintain quite a lot of lift. And the little green helicopter certainly prolonged the time it took for KV to reach the ground, although I think he would say, in his words, probably not by enough. What else did we learn, KV? Always to think twice before agreeing to get involved in any testing around here.